Funny. I have my stream up on my other computer here just for feedback purposes, and I guess from last stream it like auto-played to like some Christ is the best worship or something video. Like I didn't know there was that much crossover between a Mahjong stream and a worship, some sort of worship thingy. But here we are. Good morning. Good thingy. Okay, one moment. Hi, doggies. Okay. We good? Okay. Okay. Good morning. So, what have I done here? What have I done? Yeah, we need to be looking at the state tree today, because I think I may change how this works. Yesterday, kind of finished off the first pass at the item hierarchy inventory settings. And that works for the most part. I think the UI just still needs some thought into it, but functionally it works. Functionally it works. Now, what I'm going to do today is, you know, yesterday I finished the item inventory hierarchy thingy, and I tried to do hauling, and I started thinking through that, and I was like, you know what, I need to put some more thought into the interactions, and I had to pee really bad, and so I stopped the stream. I was also streaming for 5 hours, so solid stream. But yeah, I guess I'm going to work through that today now. And I think what I need to do is actually come up with a state tree task for kind of each interaction. And that's like repairing and constructing, you know, like if I'm interacting with the building, I press the interact key, which triggers the interact function. But to the building, the interact function really only does one thing. Uncle Jenks, howdy. Welcome in. Good morning. And so there are these like specific functions that kind of need to get called for, you know, either constructing or repairing. Now, I suppose I could just kind of overload the main interact option to like just say something like, yeah, if it's not built, interact builds. If it is built and it has taken damage, then interact repairs it. But I'm not sure that that's gonna be the case, because, you know, I can open a container. That's what interact would do if I'm looking at a container building. I could, you know, interact with a door. So I'm not gonna always be able to do that in every context. Is why I have the separate button. So thinking about that, thinking about putting in storage, which also is not like a main interact thing, I think I'm going to need to come up with like specific state tree tasks for each one of these things. And this is the kind of thing I could just call from this task, and I guess that's what I need to make the decision on is, when am I just going to use the interact with object? And when am I going to use the if and when the you know, whatever new task I make? I could just like override this, because I do have like a I have a hangy. What is it? Yeah, my hangy state. Here we go. My hangy state is when they're starving and they can't find food, so they need to go find it. that also has a, what is it, grab food? Yeah, this is the interact with object. So the interact with state would be used there. And if I put everything inside the same task, it'd be very easy to reuse it in those two places. I'm not gonna need to like put things in storage when I'm hangy, right? Not gonna need to do that. Let's see where we're at. Let's see where we're at. Welcome in, everyone. Good morning. Hope you all slept well. I did not. I did not. But I hope you all did. If it's morning for you. If it's night for you, I hope you do sleep well. I like this little diamond that it created here. Kinda cute. Kinda cute. Yeah, this is a very flat biome here. What do we have? The Executioner's Block of Death. Next to Ashen Storm Plateau. I already drinking. Oh boy. One of those mornings. I guess ocean is right here. Kind of a boring scene. Kind of a boring scene. It's the first of the month. Is it? Can you be somewhere in the world right now where it's the first of the month? It is the third for me. It's a nice looking seed. Look at that cave. Nice looking cave. We have like a ton of zones here. Have you seen nanite foliage voxelization video? I have seen one. Well, I guess two. I've seen the Witcher showcase, the Witcher 4 showcase, and I've seen some guy, you know, build from source on the main branch where I guess nanite foliage is in. So if there's another one. No, I have not seen it. It's almost making a face. I could see that. I could see that. Let's look at the world map. What kind of world map we get here? Oh, there's like it's like an inland lake. Cool. Cool. We are in Shadowed Canyon. Next to the Slumbering Dragon. And an ancient aqueduct, apparently. The Lich King's Frozen Citadel. It's taking a lot of names from WoW. It's a little too deliberate because I'm pretty sure Burning Steeps or Steps, however you say it, popped up here as well. $497. They visualize terrain using voxel tech that intended to be used for trees. Interesting. Yeah, that sounds interesting. I'll have to check that out. It's just for visualizing, though, I presume. And not actual terrain, or not actual, like, collision and stuff. Or are we getting GPU terrain? That would be kind of silly. So I got a nice meadows biome here. And just some forest next to us. Hello, good sir. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. I'm working on a video game. I am working on a video game. Yeah, they skip triangulation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not much use to run terrain on the GPU when you need collision, right? Unless you're just going to run the entire physics simulation on the GPU as well. What are you doing, brother? I will tell you. I am working on a video game. This is it. We're looking at it. It is going to be a RPG plus Colony Sim plus Roguelite with procedural terrain. So this is my procedural terrain algorithm. One small section of the world. This one's not... This one's is a decent seed. It's a decent seed. So we got like the underground caves and stuff. Nice noodles. Nothing super interesting down in here yet. But I will be spawning some ore down here and some monsters and dungeons and stuff to make it interesting to explore. Here is the world map. Now, where am I? I am in this zone right here. So I'm only generating like, the radius is probably about this big. I am in Ghostlight Grove. And Stormspire Summit is right next to us. Dustwind Canyon. Phantom Bloom Vale. And Xanthic Dunes. What's up, brother? Welcome in. Welcome in. Okay, we got a little bit of combat too. Oh yeah, I can't cast while I'm rolling. Freeze him? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Out of mana. out of mana. Okay, he's dead. Alright, let me get a heal in here. Mana? Okay. Or why are we talking about pirating things? So yeah, it'll be a little survivally, mostly RPG though. I'm thinking survival light mechanics, you know. There's, you know, tree chopping and stuff like that. I have dynamic tree chopping, as a matter of fact, which I think is very cool. If it actually connects. So the trees chop like right where you hit them. Right, so they're static meshes, and then they turn into dynamic meshes that I actually edit at runtime. Based on where the axe connects with it, so I can chop it multiple times. And I get wood for that. Basic wood. The lowest form of wood. So yes. I've not seen another game do this, and it's kind of like not necessary, but the reason I did it is because I am no artist. I cannot model things, and so it's actually easier for me, because like what most games do, you know, is like they have different models for each, like they have the unchopped tree model, the halfway chopped tree, and then like the fully chopped tree trunk and stump model. Like I can't make those. I'm not good at that part. It's actually easier for me to just, you know, do the code. When's it coming out? Ask me again in 5 years. I don't even have a name for it yet. Don't even have a name. But then yeah, you can build stuff. I only have 29 wood. But for the Colony Sim side of things, it will like take actual time to build things. So you gotta actually spend time to build them, and that's to kind of incentivize you to... That is to incentivize you to use your colonists to build things, right? That interacts with the Colony Sim system. Like, you will have a construction skill level, right? And so when you recruit a colonist, which let me run back into... Well, let me see. Are there any colonists in here? I'm doing AI-generated quests as well. Grab a couple mushrooms for the road here. Let me see. Is there a colonist around here? Nothing. There's all... Oh, there's one over there. See, does he have a name? See a couple over there. No name. No name. No name. Okay, I need someone with a name so I can go back towards the spawn point. Grab a sunflower while we're there. Welcome in, everyone. Yeah, welcome in. I'm working on a video game. It's gonna be a Colony Sim RPG roguelite combination. I'm thinking something like vanilla WoW classes and combat, plus RimWorld's Colony Sim, plus like a Hades roguelite. And so I have this procedural terrain that's different for every world. Which let's just do a new world. Let's just do a new world. Seed. Let's do 498. 498. Okay, so we got oh, here's a good seed. This is a good seed. Look at this. This is an interesting, very interesting terrain we have here. Bro, my ISP is so ass. Preach, brother. You can vent all your ISP frustrations here. This is a safe place. This is a safe place. So yeah, that was the procedural terrain. That was the procedural terrain algorithm going. And I do have the underground caves and stuff, which was a giga pain in the ass to get working properly. And I actually run them in 3 different, I generate this with 3 different compute shaders. So I have a height map compute shader, which kind of generates pretty much everything we see on the surface in terms of like the terrain shape. And then I have a 3D noise compute shader that connects multiple types of 3D noise to give me these like kind of noodly caves. Gives me these kind of noodle shaped caves here. And then I have another set of 3D noise that gives me these big blobby caves. And that kind of allows, let's see if I can find one. That allows the caves to like connect with each other. And so you'll see here, here's a noodle cave. And so you can travel through a noodle cave and then you'll get to the end and it'll kind of open up into a bigger cave. And this is very similar to how Minecraft does it, right? I've watched some videos on how their terrain generation works. And the third compute shader I have is a custom marching cubes compute shader that stitches the 2 together. And it kind of it makes that 3D noise punch through the height map. And so you can see the cave and stuff. The caves actually show through, right? And so they kind of like create these little openings in the ground through what would normally just be height map terrain, which height map terrain on its own is not that interesting at all times. But when you combine it with 3D noise, it ends up looking pretty cool, I think. And so the whole world is procedurally generated. Here's my world map. This is my like shitty my shitty world map. Every pixel on here is a terrain chunk. So if I were to click, I can show you here. Here is like one terrain chunk, right? That's 1 pixel on the map. So the map's quite large. I think someone did the math for me yesterday. It was like 15 kilometers, something like that. And what I want to do with the procedural generation side of things is actually create like really specific zones that have like specific names and specific stories, vibes, you know, quests and stuff like that. Which will be kind of different from like how something like Minecraft or like Valheim does it. Their procedural generation, they just have like a noise function that just kind of outputs different biomes throughout the world. And the biomes just kind of seamlessly blend from one to another. There's no like defined borders. They don't have like a name, right? It's not like an actual zone, right? But if you play a game like World of Warcraft, there are specific zones in World of Warcraft that have entrances, that have exits, that have names, that have lore, that kind of stuff. So that I want to try to do that, but with procedural generation. And the way I do that is I build this map first. This is the first step I do with my world generation. And so what I do is I just kind of throw some noise into a texture. And what that it first looks like is this. I can show you. Looks like this. So here's what the world map looks like at first, right? This is what is displayed right here. And so this is just this is my altitude map, really. So the black is ocean, and then the whiteness is like my peaks and valleys, kind of, you know. So the brighter parts are going to be higher altitude. And we can see that if I hover my mouse over here, you can see up here this altitude value changes. It goes from 0 to 1 for like the lowest point, which is ocean, like some of the highest points, which will be probably somewhere over here. Yeah, like 0.93 I'm thinking is the highest. 0.93. So yeah, and then each terrain chunk kind of gets that altitude value and can render it as it chooses. Next thing I do is I run a Voronoi algorithm where I create like a bunch of Voronoi cells on top of that map. And then I iterate over each cell and I just kind of pick a random color or from a set of colors, as you can see here. And then that ends up connecting all of these Voronoi cells into interesting shapes. And so that's what we see here, right? And so what I use that for is to define each zone. And right now each color represents a different biome. I really only have 2 biomes right now. I definitely need to work on more. But I'm intending for each biome to be pretty dynamic, and it's not going to be like a static, you know, like in Valheim, you know, meadows is always the first biome, and then the dark forest is the second one, and then the swamp is the third one. I don't want it to be that static of a progression, right? So I want it to be different every playthrough. And so when you spawn in, you might spawn in a completely different zone each time. And so some of the other stuff you'll see up here is the names of the zones, which are all like AI generated right now. So like this one is called Verdant Hollow. It's a desert, that's not a great name for a desert, the Verdant Hollow. We have the Forest of Shadows, which is a swamp. That's a good name. The Plain of Fire, Zenith Falls, Discordian Forest, the Crystal Cavern, Stormvale Plateau, Whisper Bloom Basin, Frostspire Refuge. So you can kind of start to imagine like these names are very flavorful, right? So you can kind of start to imagine how those might look. if those names were actually to reflect what was in the zone, which I don't have that yet. Because right now it's all just, like I said, 2 different biomes. I have one of these meadows biomes, and then I have like a foresty type biome here, which I wonder if I can even get over there. I can probably, I think I could walk up over here somehow. But one of the things I like about creating specific zones is that I'm using this map, and then every like edge chunk, again, each pixel on here is a terrain chunk, so every edge terrain chunk, I actually make a spline out of it. And so what zone is this? Crystal Cavern. I'll show you here. Crystal Cavern. We'll look up the Crystal Cavern biome thing here. And so you can see that spline that's being shown, that's the zone borders. And so if I kind of like angle my camera right here, you can see I make a mountain range along the border. You can see it here. There's another one for the next zone. And I do this on purpose. Like, I want my zones to be kind of encapsulated. I want them to be very specific. And I want there to be like specific entrances and exits, which are what the white dots are on the map here. And so that's what I call like a zone entrance chunk. And I guess there's one over there somewhere. It might be getting like swallowed up by the terrain. Yeah, it's like right here. It's kind of hard to see. It's like right here, but the terrain just kind of like, or the terrain noise just kind of like blew it apart. Basically, it put a giant mountain here. But usually, that is not the only way that you can get from zone to zone, because you can imagine like they're just randomly placed, so you might not always be able to get to every zone, right? Every zone does have at least one, but it could create like kind of like a ring of interdependent zone entrances such that you can't really get into it. And so there are other ways to get into the zones. One of the coolest ways is to, I think, find an underground cave that leads through. Like this might be one. Okay, no, that one doesn't go all the way through. But I guess right here, I could probably get through here because some of the 3D noise carved through the mountain range here. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. That's kind of what I'm talking about. There are cooler ones, but sometimes there's some tunnels that go through the mountains that can allow you to get from zone to zone. I might start running over there while I'm yapping. I don't know. We'll take the long way. We'll take the scenic route. Okay, this is supposed to be like, this terrain noise looks super shitty. It was supposed to be my terrain noise that is like kind of super difficult to navigate, super difficult to build in, but potentially higher in resources. The resolution, I need to like adjust the parameters of it a little bit, because the resolution is not showing this noise very well. Like, I can definitely do a better job. But I'm going to be doing some terrain factors down the road a little bit, some terrain genre factors, so I'll probably handle that at that point. But if you can't find a tunnel to the other zone, some options you have are to dig through the terrain. It is deformable terrain. It's not really working great right now. We'll see if there we go. So this is my proof of concept for deformable procedurally generated terrain. There you go. It is deformed. It is deformed. It doesn't look great, but technically works. Technically works. I just regenerated the vertex data there. But yeah, I'll need to do a little bit better job of that. Again, probably once I do the terrain gen refactors down the road, I'll work on the deformable, destructible terrain as well. Let's see if I can even actually get up here. But I really like the encapsulated zones rather than kind of like the free-flowing, seamlessly blending zones, because it creates this really nice sense of exploration. And let me actually, can I build stairs like up here? We'll see if that helps me here. Usually you'd have to like spend resources on this, but these are just my dummy test stairs here. Okay, yeah. So you can also, another option to get over the mountain is to build up it and then build back down it if you have the resources. I'll show a little bit of combat here. So I'm thinking something like, oh god, that's a caster. Okay, the casters are actually kind of tough. I just have to spam fireball and hope mine hit harder. Oh, thank god. Okay, I had 1 fucking health left. Jesus Christ. But does it have lizards? It does not have lizards yet. We've not seen Mart yet. We've not seen Mart today. I hope he's doing all right. So yeah, a little bit of combat there. Again, I'm thinking something like vanilla WoW classes and combat. You know, like deep talent trees, lots of abilities to pick from. I want to do a little bit more than just tab target. So hopefully little bit more interactive than that. But I do really like the class design in something like Vanilla WoW, so that's what I want to go for, and then add it with a RimWorld Colony Sim, which is like, if you haven't played RimWorld, it's a top-down Colony Sim game, and it has a lot of depth to it, and like it's like very, very high RNG, very random, and so like these crazy events happen all the time, and you have to build a colony, and you recruit these pawns that have very different personalities and very different capabilities. Every pawn has like a skill level and stuff like that. You know, so they're better at different things. They have like these kind of traits that create drawbacks and benefits and stuff like that. So it's a really fun game. A lot of random stuff can happen, very sandboxy. And I've always wanted to be like down in that world with the colonists. And so that's why I wanted to like do an RPG colony sim, right? Like I want to do a colony sim where I can run around and recruit the colonists, you know, and, you know, kind of lead the colony. And let me see. Okay, Isolde Drake. I'm going to show... Here's a colonist that actually has a name. Hello. Join my colony. Great. Okay. I'm going to generate a quest. And so what's happening right now is I'm sending an API request to the Gemini AI API. And I've dumped my entire item database basically in the prompt because the Gemini API has like a million context window. And so I've dumped my entire item database in there, and I've dumped every single thing that spawned into the world. And I told it to generate a fantasy RPG video game quest and give it to me in a specific JSON format. And then that's probably gotten back. That request has probably gotten back by now. So I deserialize that into memory, and I can actually use that to like spawn things in the world, right? Like I give it an array. I say, hey, if you want to spawn anything, pick a class from my database and put it in this array and give me the location. It fucking absolutely sucks at picking a location to spawn it at. It doesn't really understand 3D space very well. So I'll probably have to do that myself, but I have gotten it to actually spawn things in the world, which is pretty cool. But let's read about this colonist background, which is AI generated. This is Isolde Drake, who is a 21-year-old female half-elf hunter who is docile and disorganized. Isolde grew up surrounded by animals, more comfortable in their company than with other people. She became a skilled hunter through though a bit naive and disorganized due to her sheltered upbringing. Okay, she's running around because she's hungry, but let's talk to her. What's your quest? We have Oakhart's Plight is the quest she's given us. Oh, greetings. You wouldn't happen to be skilled with spirits, would you? See, I've been tracking a deer, Oakhart. He's been acting strange, leading me to Whisperwind Glade, and I heard him whimpering. Would you investigate the glade and see what's affecting him? And then the AI gave me some dialogue options here as well. What exactly is the Whisperwind Glade? It's a small clearing to the northeast of here, usually quite peaceful. It's known for its gentle breezes and the way the wind whispers through the leaves, hence the name. Why do you call him Oakhart? His antlers. They're so grand and branch out like the limbs of an ancient oak tree. Is he a truly magnificent creature? Not that I want to hunt him anymore. And so the AI actually gave me like a little JSON object that represents this quest panel over here with like the different objectives and stuff. Can't really do anything with these objectives yet. It's not like completable, but that'll be what I work on next with the system. But then I can like, you know, accept or decline here. So I accept, you know, and then I can theoretically do the quest. What game? This is the game I'm working on. This is the game I am working on. It doesn't have a name yet. It's still just called My Project. So come back and check back again in about 5 years. But what I'm going for is an RPG Colony Sim Roguelite with procedural destructible terrain, AI generated quests. So here's the world map. Here's like my procedurally generated world map. Here I am. I'm only showing like this big of a radius right now. And so if I were to zoom out here, here is the procedural terrain that's been generated so far. And another thing I want to do with this game is that I actually want to, I want the real thing, right? I want my colonists to actually have to go out and chop trees when I send them to go chop trees. And it shouldn't matter, you know, if I build a colony here, and then maybe I run all the way across the world, which very big world, you know, I still want my colony to be running. I still want my guys to be running out there, chopping trees, hauling the trees back, and, you know, and doing whatever they need to do. And I want, you know, if there's like a wolf or a bandit in the forest, I want them to get attacked by that, whether you're there or not, right? A lot of games, what they do is, you know, if it's a colony sim, maybe they only do like a local colony simulation, like RimWorld, you just only play it on a single tile of the total world map. So it's not fully running, it's not fully simulated. right? Other games will just run like maybe an equation in the background for wood, right? You send 4 colonists to go get wood, that's 40 wood per hour or something, you know? It doesn't actually matter how long it takes them to run there and run back, right? Other games might, you know, turn off the simulation when you're not around. And I don't want to make any of those concessions. I want to run the whole thing. And so one of the things I've done here, as I can show you over here, it creates a lot of technical challenges to do that, especially with procedural terrain. Like I can't have all of the terrain generated and in memory at all times. It just takes up way too much memory. And so from my custom marching cubes compute shader, it outputs vertex and index buffer data, like a couple different arrays basically. And what I can do with that data is I can save that data without actually generating the mesh, and then I can store it in a spatial data structure, like a bounding volume hierarchy, and that can essentially act as my collision. That's how kind of collision works under the hood. And what a bounding volume hierarchy allows you to do is very efficiently iterate through to find a particular triangle, right? A particular spatial piece of data, which is what's necessary for collision checks, for line traces and stuff like that. And so that's how we have the terrain kind of here, but what we're looking at is the nav mesh. The shaded part is the nav mesh. I haven't actually generated, there's no terrain. The terrain's not there. It's not just invisible. It's not there. It doesn't exist. But the data that I have, I export it to the nav mesh. The nav mesh knows what that will look like. And then for my assets, I run them through a system called PCG, an Unreal Engine. And usually that relies on collision. I don't have to rely on collision though, because I wrote my own custom nodes to use this spatial data structure that I have, the bounding volume hierarchy that I've saved. So that's how PCG knows that there is going to continue to be a cave here, even though the terrain's not actually generated there yet. So that's one of the things that I have to do in order to run the whole world. And because I have the nav mesh there, all of my entities can still be moving and running around. Like, excuse me. Apologies. But I wrote my own ECS system, which is a entity component system is what that stands for. And it's just an architecture that allows you to very efficiently run thousands and thousands of entities at a time. And I wrote mine so that it runs almost entirely on the background threads. And so if you don't, there are entities out here moving around and doing things. I don't actually see them. They're not actually rendered. They're just moving around in memory. And like all these guys over here, they're not even actors. They're not skeletal meshes, which is how you would normally visualize things or render things in a video game. That's the normal way of doing it. These are actually instanced static meshes, and so they're actually So they're instant static meshes, which is very efficient to render, which means there's only one draw call for all of them, of the same. Well, I guess no, they're all in the same ISM. So there's one draw call for all of them right now for the same model. And then the way they're animated, like static meshes usually aren't animated, but you can use a technique called vertex animated textures to actually bake all the animations from your skeletal mesh into a texture, and you can send that texture to the GPU, and then the GPU can use world position offset to move the entities around as if they're being animated. And so it's running all the animations on the GPU, which effectively free, very, very, very cheap. Like, and you know, I would not be able to run this many entities as doing just actors and skeletal meshes, which let's see how many we have right now. I'm running about 1,500 entities right now in the world. And we're running great. We're running great. Are those Euphoria? Man, I haven't seen those in ages. I'm not sure what you mean. I don't know what you mean by Euphoria. Are you monetized? Working on it. We're almost there. Almost there. Rockstar and those Star Wars games are the only games I'm tracking that use a version of this. Yeah, not sure what you're talking about. How did you learn to code? I failed a lot of times over and over again. I taught myself, basically. I just did a lot of Google searching and stuff. Basically from Google. And so yeah, this is the procedural terrain that we're looking at, just a small section of the world. And I was talking about how I wanted to design these zones to where they had like defined borders and stuff like that. And so every border here has a mountain along it for every zone. And the way you would normally get from zone to zone is through these white dots, these entrance chunks. And I think what that does is it creates like a very, very interesting experience when you cross the threshold, right? So I'm right at the edge of this red zone that has these big trees and this really spiky terrain. And then once I cross the threshold, it kind of turns into this like new zone. And it kind of opens up, right? And for me, it creates like a really nice sense of exploration. And I want each of these zones have different names. Like I'm crossing into the Crystal Cavern is what it's called. And beyond that is Stormvale Plateau. And so I want each of these zones to have like specific stories and lore and quests, you know, very, very much like WoW, but in a procedural nature, a very sandboxy nature as well. And so there's some terrain chunks not generated yet because they're actually too far away. This is actually a massive cave system here. But yeah, I just wanted to run around in this zone a little bit because it's a cool... The terrain noise for this zone, I think, is one of my favorite sets of terrain noise that I have. As it creates these nice big mountains, which I think are really satisfying to run around in. So there's this big valley here. It'll be pretty cool. And there's like a little cave here. A little cave right there. So yeah, that's what I'm working on today. We're going to be working on this game today. So a lot still to do here. A lot still to do. Recently, I've been working on the Colony Sim tasks. Euphoria is a real-time animation engine that uses AI learning to develop the way the character move. Sorry, I just stopped on. I'll shut up and try. No, you're good. You're good. No, this is Unreal Engine. This is an Unreal Engine. But yeah, I've been working on the Colony Sim tasks recently. I've done foraging and construction, so I can run up to one of those green guys and I can recruit them to join my colony. No real process there. I just click a button and they join. But then I can send them to go construct things or to forage for things. I have been working on storage, which I built this little voxel algorithm, which the world is not inherently voxelized. So these voxels just gets kind of spun up on the fly and they follow the terrain. And so this is how the player can like define an area. And you can say like, hey, I want you to like go do foraging in this area, right? So you can select this area for foraging. And if there's anything to forage, they would, you know, they could come over there and do that. And so one way you might do that is you see some mushrooms here. Create a little zone, although they're floating, which I need to fix. So that didn't actually select them at all. There's that little cave. And nothing interesting in the caves yet, just a couple mobs here. Okay, he's an archer. These guys are actually pretty easy to... What was your animations doing there, bud? Ding, level 2. And so the roguelite part of the game is going to be something like, I'm wanting to experience with a long form roguelite. And what made me realize that was playing hardcore WoW, actually. Hardcore vanilla WoW back when that was popping off. And so I realized that a hardcore game mode is really just like a long form roguelike. And so I wanted to experiment with that. You know, normally roguelites have like 30-minute to an hour-long run with some form of meta progression after the run. But I wanted to experiment with runs that are much longer than that. And so you have much higher stakes, right? Because playing hardcore WoW, like, I played the game for like 20 years now, right? So hardcore WoW like literally changed the way that I played the game in such a drastic way that it like gonna change some of my like game design opinions and stuff like that. And like just the way I looked at abilities and talents and gear and the way I, you know, traveled through the world, it all changed because I was actually scared of dying, right? I didn't want to lose my dozens of hours that I put in my character. So for my roguelite, I want it to be more long form. I want you to, you know, each run will be hours long, like dozens of hours long. And then every few levels you'll get like, I'm thinking like 3 different abilities to choose from your class, specific to your class. And hopefully I'll have enough abilities to where each playthrough will be drastically different. Your build will be. And when you die, you start over at level 1, but everything you've done in the world like persists. So whatever colony you've built is still going to be there. Although maybe it's gotten raided or attacked while you've been gone. And if you didn't set it up very well, if you didn't build good enough defenses, you know, some of your colonists might be dead. And so you have to deal with the consequences there. But maybe you did defend it well, and so when you get back, your colonists have just been gathering resources, and you just have a bunch more resources to use for this run. Maybe you recruited a very good crafter or blacksmith type colonist, so, you know, the next time you come back, when you start over at level 1, your blacksmith can craft you gear, better gear than you would have had last run. So there's one form of meta progression there. I'll also probably have some sort of currency that you earn throughout the world when you're questing and stuff like that that you can use to, you know, once you die, you can spend this currency in some way for some form of meta progression. Not really sure what that looks like yet. I haven't really done any of the roguelite aspects yet. Really just focusing on the foundational systems here. But I will have talents as well. The talents will be static, so you have to pick like talents that match the abilities that you've chosen. In Valheim, I always missed a way to save buildings you build. I wish the creators would use buildings the community builds in the original game again. Are you talking about blueprints? Are you talking about like a blueprint type functionality where you can save a configuration of buildings? Is that what you're talking about? Satisfactory had that. And I played Satisfactory throughout the alpha stages quite a bit. I remember what the creators were saying about the blueprint functionality. And it is kind of an interesting game design choice to allow that. It's not just purely quality of life. Like, I think it actually affects how different each playthrough can be. Because if you have prefabs or blueprints, whatever you want to call them, of the way you've built a building in the past, like, you're going to build that building the same way every time now because you have that blueprint, right? Whereas if you have to place it yourself, then, you know, it's gonna end up different each time, each playthrough. But there's something to be said there, right? Is this a game? Yep, this is a game I'm working on. This is a game I am working on. You can see the terrain chunk over there. It's going to be an RPG Colony Sim Roguelite with procedural, destructible terrain. So here's a small section of the world right now. Any Mart sightings yet? Good morning, Mandy. No Mart sightings yet. I'm a little worried. I'm starting to get worried. Everyone pray for Mart, the agent of chaos himself. It's been a nice calm morning. No Mart sightings, yeah. Subscribe to the newsletter if you want to get alerted when Mart's here. Is Unity Unreal? This is Unreal Engine. Can I make it up this mountain? Nice, okay. I think it would also be really cool. I need to do like procedural points of interest as well, but I think it would be really cool to get like procedural Zelda-like dungeons with like puzzles in them and stuff. That would be something that I really want to work on. I think that'll be really cool. So yeah, I need to do some more optimizations. It's a little choppy, and it's from PCG. PCG is a bit of a RAM hog. I'm only using 30 gigs of memory right now, so. Where's the next zone? Oh, the next zone is over there. So you can see this, there's this border mountain right here. And then you can see how the terrain noise is like very tall and mountainous on this side. And over here, it's kind of smaller mountains, more jagged. And it's actually a different biome too. So different trees in here, different resources. Same for Zelda, you can't save what you built in the Switch 1 version. I don't know if that's the kind of thing that would work for a game like, I assume you're talking about Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, I'm not sure that's the kind of system that would work there. For one, I did not like Tears of the Kingdom very much. Hot take, I know. Hot take, I know. It's too tedious. It's too tedious. There's so many menus, so many. I felt like I was spending like 50% of the game in menus, which is too high of a percentage. And the building in it is very frustrating to get to work correctly. Like if you just place something wrong, you had like the control to undo is to wiggle the thumbstick, which is like a super bad user experience. And then the whole thing breaks. Like you don't just break off the one thing, the entire fucking thing that you were building breaks apart. It's so frustrating. And to get the rotation right too, you have to wait for this little rotation animation to play. It was just like super frustrating to do the puzzles in that game for me. And I liked more so having the puzzles that had like a specific solution to them and not just like, hey, there's a bunch of different ways you can solve this, you know, solve it your own way, which, you know, that's nice, but I don't know, that got old very quickly for me because there was always a brute force solution to the problem, right? Like you could always just do something that's not very creative, that's very brute force. It's like usually because of the controls and stuff was usually the much easier way to do it. Yeah, I preferred Breath of the Wild. I think Breath of the Wild was a better game. Actually, I quite liked Breath of the Wild. I would like to keep my battle vehicle with me throughout the whole game. I mean, the whole point of the Zelda world is that everything is kind of ephemeral, and so that kind of keeps the world evergreen, right? If you could keep everything the whole time, whether it be weapons or your, you know, the building items or whatever you've built, then there's kind of no point for some of the zones and stuff, you know. Like it's kind of part of the game design that you can't keep things around. And without it, the open world doesn't work as well. I actually watched, there's this really small creator I watched a video on it, he kind of broke it down, which was very interesting. And it's just like, it's a form of keeping the world evergreen, and especially with like the way Legend of Zelda works, where there's no like specific levels, you know what I mean? Like, you do get stronger, like there is progression and stuff. But like, there's no like levels, right? And so it's like, how do you keep the old world, the old zones, like evergreen and stuff like that? Well, that's what they did weapon durability for. So it actually gave you reasons for all these, you know, if the weapons didn't have durability, then it's like, you know, what are all these dungeons for? What are all these old zones for? And especially when you can go in any direction, you know, you might not always go to the zone, you know, you might come back to a zone that's like really low level, and it's like, how do you make that still be relevant? It's like, okay, well, your weapons get destroyed, right? In Switch 2, you can keep buildings. That is a very interesting choice, I'll say. I feel like that I mean, look, I would love that change as a player because I don't like the tedium of the building system in Tears of the Kingdom. But I do feel like that pretty drastically changes the balance of the game and the world, because in Tears of the Kingdom, the items that you have to find the items throughout the world to build with. And so if you can just keep buildings with you, you know, it's the game balance is affected quite a bit there. I feel like that actually kind of trivializes the world in some extent. But like I said, honestly, I might enjoy playing the game more because of that, because I didn't like the building system. So I feel like that actually leads you to building less. That kind of decision. Okay, so but it's cool to travel on a car. Yeah, I mean, I agree that it is cool and fun, but I think the way that they should incentivize that is by making the building easier and not by bypassing the building altogether. They should come up with a better interface for how it was like, what was it, the fuse ability? Forget what they called it. But the way you use that ability in the world was very tedious to use. I feel like they just took the easy out there by making you just be able to reuse what you build and stuff. And it's interesting they only did that on the Switch 2 version. I assume there's probably some technical reason. But I need to work on my state trees for my entities. I'm going to work on hauling, and I think I've come to terms with the fact that I need to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to use a single state tree task for all of my interactions, or whether I'm going to create multiple tasks for them. And I'm kind of leaning like a single giga task, honestly. And then just like cramming a bunch of functionality in there. Because I think it just makes the state trees easier to set up and easier to follow. Like less states in here, I think makes this view easier to follow. I guess it makes the C++ harder to follow though. It's all crap. Refactoring everything is the only way forward. Yeah. 2 steps forward, 1 step back for sure. Let me look at my, what is it? The interact with object task. So it's where I'll be spending most of my time today, probably. Hi there, Drong. Hello. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome. Yeah, it's already getting quite large. Update current colonist task. Interact pending. Yeah, I guess I need to extract this into some different functions. And I need to figure out if the thing is interactable or not. Well, I guess the interactable is probably the least specific one, so that check's probably going to be towards the end of the task. And the more specific things like doing repair and stuff, although like I guess I need to have some information on here as to what I need to do. I wonder if I need a repair task. Yeah, I really need to break down what I want my task structure to be. Let me look at my colonist tasks. I construct, chop trees, forage, haul. I added haul inventory. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not, though. We'll see. Because there's going to be the tasks that the player sees, and I already know that's going to be different than the tasks that are under the hood, you know, in code. There's going to be kind of like subtasks, maybe even. So I guess I really need to think about how that's all going to work. And I already have like a task queue that these different task types kind of get put in with a task structure. Just here, task queue. Colonist task. And I guess I need to know, it's a task is really just like, I need to perform some action on something. I guess having the task being like something like repair would tell me here what I need to do, right? But then this interact with object becomes like perform task, right? Basically. And I don't know if I want to like tightly couple that concept with this class or this task. I would like to be able to reuse this just for interaction, which is what makes me lean towards having something specific for each colonist task. Which is why I have like this put in storage or something. I could also have repair here. Although like I would just need to understand implicitly that this interact with object is like all the default. I would need to know what like the default interact functionality is. It's not very self-explanatory here. Not as self-explanatory, at least. Because if like the other example I have is my hangy state. If their food levels drop too low, they get hangy, and then they start running around looking for food. And so I reuse that task here to pick up some food in the world, potentially. And I guess if things are going to be dropped on the ground, as well as like, you know, like a mushroom growing in the world, like... Oh, I suppose interacting with the thing on the ground would put it in your inventory, right? So the main interact options are like how you would like forage, probably plants, you know. Although that probably needs its own payload and stuff too. Yeah, I think I'm kind of leaning multiple states now, actually, so that I don't overload this with too much and can reuse it. Okay, I think that's what I want to do. I think I was on the right track by putting the put in storage here, and then I put the process interactable, yeah, interact payload. Let me see what this has on it. Interactable. The instance ID. Yeah, I may need something else here. Or rather, I need a, where's my put in storage task? Put in storage. Yeah, I'm just using the interact payload. And I guess like if I was being specific about this, storage can either be... Let me start writing some things down here. Storage can either be a colony container or a area building with a hall with storage allowed. And I guess I need to think about... I guess right now they're both actors. The storage container, the container building, or an area building, which I guess both can be considered kind of that way. I mean, I wonder if I should just make the area a container. No, I shouldn't. So really this interact with payload. Move to location, focal location. Yeah, I guess that should already be output by my process colonist task, which has interact payload, but it also has a colonist task, which I can grab some things from too. I have task source actor, within area actor, task target actor. So the thing with storage is I kind of need a payload object somewhere. And I keep just adding things onto this colonist task, and I kind of don't want to keep doing that. It kind of feels like my options are to either just keep adding things to it, make it larger, or reuse existing ones on here, and then it just becomes more complicated. Then it just becomes more complicated. Within area actor. Target actor to interact with, if any. So I need, like for storage, I need the storage thing to enter, to put an item in, and then I also need an item. So I almost need just like a payload object. Which I could turn this into that. But then that kind of makes it difficult to understand at a glance, because right now this is currently used for whenever I need to do a task within an area. So like if I were to build an area, right, build this area. Okay, that one didn't work. What are you doing? Why are you bad there? If I were to build an area, I'd be like, hey, go chop trees in this area, or whatever. Or here's some mushrooms. There's a good example. Come on. Holy shit! I really need to work on the starting voxel here. There we go. Go chop trees or forage in this area. So that's what that's used for that kind of a task. But I guess this could just change into like a payload object, which is what I'm thinking. Thinking that should be a payload object. Welcome in, everyone. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I am working on a video game. It's going to be an RPG Colony Sim Roguelite with procedural destructible terrain. We are looking at some of that procedural terrain here. Here is the world map. Here's me. I'm generating, like, right now, kind of this big of a radius is what we're looking at. Quite a large map. Quite a large map. We got all these different zones, too, with interesting names. Stormvale Plateau is what I'm in right now, I think. Well, I guess I'm on the edge of... I might be... I don't know which zone I'm in. I might be in the Crystal Cavern. Hard to tell. Whisper Bloom Basin. Frost Spire Refuge. Cindervale Basin. A couple basins here. Burning Gulch. See, these all sound like cool names. Like, if you can just imagine what that may look like, that would be cool. Right now, I only have, like, a couple different biomes and a handful of different terrain noises. Here's the world so far. So you can see how, like, this is the edge of the zone. This mountain range right here. So you can see how this zone is, like, different than up here. They're the same color. A slightly different biome. This is my meadows, meadowsy biome. So there's like some sunflowers in here. There's some hemp somewhere around here too. There's some hemp somewhere. Although the terrain noise does not look very meadowsy, does it? There's some flax. There's no hemp. Come on. Where's the hemp at? There's some hemp. There you go. There you go. Then we got the 3D noise as well. The underground caves. There's some caves here. And right now, all these zone names are just kind of like randomly AI generated. The land of the Hydras, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. Burning Steps, the Elixir of Life. Like, that's such a... It's not a good zone name, we'll say. This one's just called Slumbering Giant. Eventually, I'll need to actually, like, pass in all the attributes, all this stuff that's, like, spawned into the zone. You know, like, all the mob spawns, all the types of resource that are in the zone. What does the terrain look like? You know, what is the terrain made out of? Pass all that into the AI, and then hopefully it'll actually, you know, output a name that's interesting and describes the zone. Oh shit, I might be falling here. Okay, I recovered. Nice. So yeah, I'm working on this game today. I am working on this game today. So welcome in, everyone. I have dynamic tree chopping. What is this game? It doesn't have a name. It's just called My Project right now. It's going to be an RPG Colony Sim Roguelite with procedural destructible terrain and AI generated quests. So I'm hoping for it to be very sandboxy. And here's the world map. There's me. Each pixel on here is a terrain chunk. And so like, here's a terrain chunk. That's 1 pixel. That square is 1 pixel on the map. There's 1 pixel on the map. You going for a realistic environment or more creative fictional design? Definitely like high fantasy, creative. Like I want there to be different classes. So I'm thinking something very similar to Vanilla WoW with class design. Definitely not doing an MMO by any means. I do want it to be multiplayer so you can like start a server and play with your friends. But like, yeah, I definitely want like you have your warrior, your mage, your paladin, rogue, you know, that kind of stuff. So very like, you know, Dungeons and Dragon-y. How far are you into development? Been working on this for over 2.5 years now, so not very far. Not very far. These are all placeholder assets. These are all placeholder assets, so nothing is final yet. So not very far. Not very far. $5,000. Yeah, that would be nice. And yeah, be destructible terrain. See if I can. Kind of sucks right now. It is proof of. Yeah, I can't even like. This is my own animation, which sucks. Okay, that worked that time though. So there's the destructible terrain. It technically works, although it looks terrible. It's not actually useful at all, but it is technically, it technically works. Oh boy, that looks even worse. That looks even worse. What's the game name? I don't have a game name yet. I have not picked a name. Codename my project. This is a game you just made. I didn't just make. I did make it. I spent 2.5 years on it. So I didn't like just make this morning or anything. Ow. Ah. Get out of here. Looks really chunky. Yeah. I'm generating at a lower res just for testing purposes. I can generate it at a higher resolution, but you know, it takes a little bit longer. So for development purposes, I'm just keeping it low res for quick iteration. Some quick iteration. Looks awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, the terrain gen is what I spent most of my time on. That's the biggest chunk of what I spent the time on. So you are a developer? Yes, that would be what I am. This is just free time hobby stuff for me, though. So. Not my day job. You won't release this game. Well, I didn't say that. Come back in 5 years and see if it's released. It'll be a while. What? You didn't make this today? Unsubbed and unfollowed. I know. Contrary to popular belief, GTA 6 is not coming out in a day. Sorry, guys. Yeah, terrain gen is epic. Should we look at some new seeds? Let's look at some new seeds. So it's like Minecraft, so seeded random. Deterministic randomness based off a seed, so you can put in a seed. We're gonna do seed 499. See what it looks like here. So there it goes. This is a more boring terrain. What's your day job? I'm a software engineer. So this is kind of a flattish terrain. So here I am. I am spawned into the Fisherman's Wharf of Bounty, which is supposed to be a desert. But it's not. I'm right next to the Poet's Garden of Inspiration and Emberfrost Caverns and Ironwood Crossing. So we'll do a little bit of combat here. That's a caster. I don't want to fight a caster. They're kind of hard. Okay, here's a melee guy. Come here. Wow, it's render like Minecraft. Does this look like Minecraft to you? Does this really look like Minecraft to you? Be honest. Be honest. So same thing with less gameplay. Yeah, a lot less fun. A lot less fun than game development. Oh, there might be a coolish zone over there. That is Moonshadow Basin. We'll see if that gives us some big mountains here. Using AI to help develop. Yes and no. Not really. I do most of it myself. AI is not super helpful to me. I've been writing code for, you know, over 10 years now, so it's not the most helpful for me, but it's helpful for some things. I mostly just use the auto-completes here. There's a colonist. I'm going to have him join my colony. I'm going to generate a quest. So what's happening right now is I just sent an API request out to the Gemini API, and I dumped my entire item database in there, along with everything that's spawned in the world, you know, every class that I have to spawn. And I just said, hey, generate me a fantasy RPG video game quest and put it into this JSON object. And I give it an example of the JSON object, and it does a pretty fucking good job of that. It's got the million context window, so I'm just going to put my entire game lore into the prompt eventually. But that's generated a quest for me. Let's read this colonist's background while we wait for that. It's probably already done, but this is Lenore Line, who's a 35-year-old female human warlock who is cruel and honest. Lenore had a privileged upbringing, but always questioned authority and sought forbidden knowledge. In her adulthood, their relentless pursuit of power led them to become a warlock, embracing the darker side of magic. Despite their ruthlessness, they adhered to a strict code of honor. Okay, interesting. Let's see what quest the AI generated for Lenore here. Let's talk. Okay. The Whispers of Corruption. Ooh. A druid, eh? Tell me, Isolde Phoenix, which is my character's name. Are you more than just leaves and whispers? There's a grove not far from here called Whisperwood. Your task is to venture into Whisperwood and locate a corrupted sunstone. Bring it back to me unscathed. And the AI gave me some dialogue options here. Why can't you do it yourself? Let's just say my associates frown upon my presence in such places. My methods are a bit forceful for such a delicate ecosystem. What are your plans for the sunstone? That is information that is not available to you. And so this on the left here is like my quest panel. This will go into like your quest log. And so this is like Whispers of Corruption. It says Lenore Lina Warlock has tasked me with locating a corrupted sunstone within Whisperwood. She warned against destroying it, claiming she has plans for it. And so the JSON object I got back from the AI had some objectives for me, and it coded those. And so I need to explore Whisperwood. So that's a location I need to go to. And then I need to obtain the corrupted sunstone. So it probably created some item from some class in my database that I now need to obtain. And then I need to come back and talk to her. So I will do it so I can accept the quest. So that's the little bit of the AI quest system there. And yeah, it'll be pretty difficult to get all those actually grounded into the game. Like there's no place called Whisperwood right now. But I do need to do some procedural point of interest spawning on the world map. And I have plans for that. So eventually I'm not passing any of the zone information into the AI quest. I will be doing that. And I'll pass in like all of the points of interest that are spawned and stuff too. So hopefully it'll pick from that to create quests for and stuff. And then with a lot of clever encoding, I can pull things and prompt it in ways to actually give me things that are grounded in the world. What game engine would you recommend tomorrow? I'll be getting my laptop tomorrow. You have to do that research yourself. Depends on what kind of game you want to make. Use the right tool for the job. Use AI to make this finish quickly. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, it would be done already. This is one of your first games. This is my very first game. Bro, we are witnesses of your hard work, yes. You can make a game in Roblox so you can earn money. Thank you for that. That's very, very good advice. Yes. How do you check if the quest was finished or if it even works? Right now, it's just kind of proof of concept, so I'm not doing really anything there. But the way I do it is I can maybe show the prompt that I have. Let me see if I can... Forgot where I stored it. It's in here somewhere. Hidden quest. Probably in private. Quest. Oh yeah, the example. So, well, I give it an example struct, and I have these different enums for the different objective types. And so here's me like telling the objectives, like there's talk to, there's obtain, defeat, defend, escort, follow, explore, and build. And each of those mean a different thing as to how it gets completed. And I need, it gives me information about what should be explored, what should be built, what should be followed, what should be defeated. And so what I'll end up doing is just, you know, and usually those are classes that exist in my game. So I can deserialize the classes, and it does a pretty good job of getting them correct. Like, you know, 90% of the time it gets them correct. So I deserialize a class, and then I can check for completion on certain gameplay events, like when something gets built or something gets defeated, that kind of thing. So that's how that's going to work. Is this Minecraft? No, it's not. Does this actually look like Minecraft that much to you guys? Does it actually? Bro, can you make a game in the Roblox? No, I don't want to. That is... Why would... Do you really want to make a game in Roblox? That sounds like... I would rather make a game on my own. Wish you good luck and success with your project. Just let your project become true. Okay, yeah, I'll just let that happen then. Hopefully one day we can touch it, yeah. Average YouTube conversation, yeah. Make it in Roblox. Is this Minecraft? Just do this, just use AI. Jesus, guys, chill. None of you know what you're talking about at all, I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry. UE5 or UE4? This is UE5. So yeah, we got a larger zone over there. So that is Moonshadow Basin. That's giving me some nice tall mountains here. Is there an entrance? Okay, there's an entrance over there, which is actually kind of cute. It's kind of a cute entrance. I'm not gonna fucking make him a game in Roblox though. I don't want cancer, okay? I don't want brain rot. I'm not gonna touch Roblox with a 10-foot pole. Thank you very much. But yeah, so there's this zone entrance chunk over here that I'm gonna head towards. We're gonna see if we can actually get into it. And so, what I do with the zones is I surround them with mountains, and I do this because I want to create like a nice little encapsulation of the zone. Each of these zones have like a distinct name and stuff. So if you think about like a zone in World of Warcraft, like they all have some sort of physical land mass border, and then there's like a specific entrance and exit into each zone, right? And so I like that a lot more than something in Minecraft or Valheim where the biomes just seamlessly blend into each other, and they don't really like, they're not like zones, right? They're just kind of like, oh, it's there, it's a swamp, you know. And it's not really grounded in the world or anything like that. You know, it doesn't get referenced, it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have characteristics to it or anything like that. And what I want to do is, like with that AI quest system, is actually tell like a story in each zone, you know? Oh, look at this. This is a nice little landform. That's cute. Build like a little hovel in here. This could be a little hobbit hovel. Grab some roots here. Oh, that guy just found some mushrooms. He's eating. How'd you handle nanite overdraw, or are you not using nanite foliage? Nanite foliage isn't out yet. That's in 5.7. I am the answer to that is I'm not handling nanite overdraw at the moment. I'm not handling it at all right now. These are all like placeholder assets that have just been like, these are just like free assets I picked up over the years. And so I just kind of slapped nanite on them and called it a day. So I'm not handling, they're not like fully, like the trees aren't fully modeled, right? There's a lot of translucency in the grass and stuff like that. So what does UE5 want from you if this game generates money? 5%. 5% royalties, basically. Over $1 million. RevRot, I don't think you understand how game development works. I don't think you understand how much money you can make from a Roblox game. I am not going to make something in Roblox just to make money. That is not what I want to do. My purpose is to not make money here. My purpose is to make the game that I want to make, and to learn game development, and not I don't want to make millions from Roblox. I have values. I have morals. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that just because you said to either. I don't think you can become a millionaire from a Roblox game either. I'm sure that there are a few examples of that, but I do not think that that is the norm. I would rather make a game myself. This is a solo project, yes. I do plan on adding multiplayer, yeah. I want to be able to play with friends. I think that'd be really fun. But not like multiplayer as in like MMO, just like kind of local server type thing. But yeah, we have this zone here, and then I'm going to cross the threshold into this new zone. And the biome's the same, but the terrain is much different. So I think it creates this really nice sense of exploration when the zone kind of opens up and you're like, whoa, it's a new zone. Although it looks very samey right now. But eventually it'll be like a WoW zone where the vibe of the zone drastically changes. Like if you're picturing like going from Barrens to Ashenvale, right? You go from like this African Sahara type zone into like an enchanted forest type zone, and it's a really cool moment. It's a really cool moment. Do you like Soulsborne games like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, or Sekiro? No, I don't. Not my kind of games. I don't like the combat. It's not fun. There's not enough. I honestly think the games are actually kind of bad in a way. They kind of suck. I know Sekiro is very good, but the other ones do kind of suck. Like, let the man cook his magic potion. Yeah, exactly. You probably already know this, but running world position offset on nanite and annual grass trees is very performance intensive. Yep. It's worth setting a world position offset disable distance on those if you haven't already. Yeah, I'm not that far into it yet, right? Like I said, these are all just placeholder assets. I'm not going to spend too much time on it right now. You know, when I get actual assets, I'll do that kind of stuff, you know? ROI for creating a Roblox game is actually higher than publishing your own game on Steam. Yeah, but you get brain rot, and like, you know, you can't put a cost on that. You plan to add cities or like villages? Yeah, I need to do some procedural point of interest spawning, and that'll include things spawned on top of the world as well as things like underneath the world in the caves and stuff. So I'll spawn some dungeons down here potentially. Yeah, I will end up doing that, and I wrote my whole ECS system as well to run thousands and thousands of entities. Let's see how many we got right now, and that'll help run the villages and stuff like that. Yeah, I got about 15, or what I got, 1,800. Yeah, almost 2,000 entities running right now in the world. So yeah, I'll use that to run. Oh, here he is. Oh, goodness. The Agent of Darkness has returned. The dreaded, the Horseman of the Apocalypse. At a Happy Land. He's just coming in hot. Everyone, welcome Mart. Mart's our mascot for... He's the mascot of YouTube Shorts chatters. He just comes in here and just demands things. He just says, do this, give me this, do the... And he doesn't stop. No matter how much you try to explain to him that that's kind of a rude way to communicate with someone, he doesn't understand. And so he's just kind of this is day 5 now of Mart joining us. So everyone say hello to Mart. At a Happy Land. He just comes in here. He just says nonsense. You could make millions if you made this in Roblox. God, I don't want to fucking make a game in Roblox. That sounds so lame. Jesus Christ, guys. This is all C++, or do you work in Blueprint too? I do a little bit of both. Mostly C++ though. Mostly C++. Like, I'm a software engineer with self-respect. I'm not gonna make a game in Roblox just to get rich. Like, it's not. I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this because I love it, right? That's why I'm here every day. Hello, everyone. Yes, hello, Mart. How much of this is hard coding versus pulling assets from UE5? Those two things are not. Like, those aren't things that are on the same scale. I don't... What do you mean by hard coding and pulling assets from UE5? Because those are not things that are typically used in the same sentence. So what do you think those mean? You plan to add vehicles like horses or ships? I mean, not anytime soon. That's a pretty far down the road thing. You say all this, but one day you'll be sad when Mart stops showing up, maybe. Well, that means he'll have grown up, and then I will have fulfilled my purpose in influencing the next generation and ridding him of brain rot. Happy Land is biome where yellow giggle balls are here. Thank you, Mart. Thank you. What is it about Sekiro that you like specifically? Well, I haven't played it. I just know that it was like Game of the Year. So I just say I know it's a good game because a lot of people like it. But the reason I don't like Souls games is the combat is entirely focused on mechanical execution and very, very little on strategic execution. Like, the combat is poke, dodge, dodge, poke, dodge. And the controls are very dated. And in Elden Ring, like, it's they have press on release. Like the dodge button is the same button as the sprint. If you hold it down, you sprint. If you press it, you dodge. So on a game where timing is very sensitive, they make it even more difficult for you with a very bad control scheme. And the hitboxes on the enemies are completely archaic, right? Like they don't match what the actual enemy is. And on top of that, there's this god-awful input queuing that you can't override system, which is even like the difficulty in the games comes from a really bad place, in my opinion. It's a terrible camera, terrible controls. Like they haven't done any innovation on that in years. They're using the same god-awful input system and camera system from 2 decades ago, right? And so like the input queue, like, and of course all the it's super unresponsive too, right? But that's kind of part of the game. I can forgive that a little bit more. But when you have like attacks that are really slow and like, you know, they want high committal out of you, which I get. But then they put this input queue on you on purpose. I believe this is a very on purpose thing that they've done. You'll be sitting there dodging, right? 'Cause the boss will have a 2-piece combo and a 3-piece combo, right? They look very similar, but there's a window after the 2-piece combo where you can attack. So you're dodging through the first two, like, oh, I think I have a window here, I'm gonna attack next. So you're still in the middle of your dodge roll. You're pressing the attack button. And before you start attacking, you realize that it's actually the 3-piece combo. So you go back to pressing the dodge button. Again, you're still in the middle of a dodge. Guess what happens? You would think what should happen is you should keep dodging because you're pressing the dodge button. But no, it has queued up your attack move. Even though it hasn't even started yet, you will still attack. Like that changes the game. Like you're not reacting to the bosses anymore. Like it's not, you have to predict and memorize because you have to fight the input system so much. Like it's so bad. It was so bad. Like, and I think it's like you could make difficult bosses and interesting bosses without doing all that. And it seems like a cop out, you know, it seems like a cop out as to like how they develop the game. It's like I'm fighting the controls more than I'm actually fighting the boss. Mart, yeah, I know. Mart, I understand I haven't acknowledged you in 2 minutes, and you're freaking out a little bit. But you're just gonna have to be patient. You're just gonna have to sit with that discomfort for a little bit. And no matter how much you say, please add it, I am not going to add Happy Land with yellow giggle balls. But thank you for the suggestion. You said that yesterday. You said it today again. I imagine you'll be in here tomorrow, and you'll say it then too. I'm also gonna say no then. I think I may be getting brain rot from your YouTube comments. Get it under control. Should we just hide the YouTube comments? The YouTube Shorts comments? I'll allow the YouTube horizontal comments. Oh no, Mart's in the YouTube horizontal. Okay, never mind. We can't do that. Okay, sorry YouTube, you're getting hidden. Yes, Mart, you've said please add it 3 times now. Do you think that means that I'm just going to add it now? Do you think if you say it one more time, I'll add it? Is that how you think this works? And believe me, guys, all of you were like, why are you even giving this guy the time of day? Because it's kind of funny, is why. Because it's kind of funny. And we have tried to explain to Mart how game development works and how you can't just add something like that real quick, that it actually takes a lot of time. He doesn't understand. He's never going to understand. One day we'll have Mart as a player in this game, and when we will have chaos. Yeah, he's gonna be like an end game boss or something, and he's just gonna tell you what to do. He's just gonna be like, give me this, do this, like, and it's just gonna be, he's gonna be the most annoying character. Mart is such a valuable asset. Yeah, he really, you know, my stream would be so boring, and I would have 0 viewers if it weren't for Mart. Yeah. I'd assume you could bypass coding in a tree by pulling in asset. I mean, you don't code trees. Like, that's not you model assets, you don't code them. I mean, I'm sure you can procedurally make them, but that's not normal, right? You just, the assets are assets, and people make them, right? You don't like code them, they model them. Don't want to make games for Roblox because he's afraid of brain rotting, but streams on YouTube Shorts. Yeah, I can handle a small dosage of brain rot. Can you add digging, so like finding ORS and crafting? Yeah, that will be in the game. That will be in the game, yeah. But I'm in the Shorts. I know. There's nowhere to hide from Mart. He's he's everywhere. You could change something about Soulsborne games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls. What would it be and why? I mean, for me, games in my combat, I do want some mechanical execution, but I also want strategic execution. That's why I like World of Warcraft combat more, like vanilla WoW combat more. Because the combat isn't just, it's not just hit the button at the right time. It's hit the right combination of buttons at the right time throughout the entire combat, right? So there's a life cycle of a combat instance. And there's a lot of abilities to choose from within a particular instance of combat. What you're fighting changes that. In Elden Ring, you're doing the same attacks against bosses. Like, that's not fun for me. That's not fun. And I know a lot of people are like, get good. I'm like, yeah, sure, I could get better at Elden Ring. I could. It's not going to make me enjoy the combat anymore. I don't want to just sit there and dodge roll into their hitboxes and then just poke them with a giant sword. You know, I want to make decisions in combat. Like, what ability should I use next? I want to react to what is happening in the combat so it changes and it's dynamic, right? So I just don't like the basis of Soulsborne games. I don't like the combat at all. It's not interesting to me. It's not fun. Is the game kind of like Fallout and Elden Ring combined? So the game is going to be an RPG Colony Sim Roguelite. And so if I had to pick 3 games, and these are kind of like my North Star of like where I'm taking each of those genres, but I'm doing something like vanilla WoW, you know, classes, skill trees, abilities, combat, plus RimWorld Colony Sim, plus like Hades Roguelite. That's what I'm planning to do there. Martin PC confirmed win. I know. Art's gonna be like Neighbor. Nabir? Neighbor. I hate Neighbors from BG3. I don't think I've gotten that far. I assume Neighbor is a very annoying NPC in Elden Ring. I saw an NPC run past you and said, talk. What kind of dialogue system you got going on? Cam switch, do they remember what you said to them? I mean, nothing's super intense. We'll see. Is this guy? He's got no name. Hey, get back here. Get back here. Like, I can generate. So this guy's actually like he doesn't have a name. He's 0 years old. So I'll try to generate a quest from him. This is just because I ran out of entries in my database for like, like I pre-generated a bunch of backgrounds for the NPCs, so I don't have to hit the API every time. But yeah, here's the slight dialogue system. A young root thing asked me to investigate the source of a corrupted sap near the Whispering Woods. It seems that the sap is poisoning the forest. So yeah, just kind of a shitty dialogue system to interact with the quests. Melee, range, or magic, all the above. Which are the most fun for you to make and the hardest? I mean, I haven't done a whole lot of combat yet. I do have a few abilities. I don't know that any one is more fun than the other. It's all combat, right? Should probably hide the talk option when I'm in combat with the guy, right? That would probably be a good idea. Yeah, I mean, so the answer to like what would I change about Souls-like is I would change a lot. I would change the whole thing, but like if I had to keep the Souls-like the same game, I would have to change I would change the controls and the camera and the input system. That's what I would change if I actually kept the game the same. Nice combat, thank you. It's kind of tap targety at the moment, but I hope to make it a little bit more interactive than that, so it's a little bit more interesting. But yeah, we're just kind of exploring some worlds right now, just doing some yapping. It's a procedurally generated terrain, so here's the world right now. We are in Moonshadow Basin at the moment. We got Granite Gorge and Sacred Springs on the horizon. Yeah, there's the world. This was already generated over here. We got a meadows biome over here in this zone. That's what those trees are for. Underground caves, you know, eventually I'll have, I do have a proof of concept to deformable terrain. But it's not super useful and doesn't really work that well at the moment, but I'll do another pass at it. And we'll add in some ore down here. Add in some ore down there and, you know, throw in some monsters. I want to get some dungeons down here to explore as well. So that there's actually a reason to go down in there. So right now there's not much. Kind of looks cool. I'm totally looking forward to seeing more combat later on, like seriously. Do you like target locking in games? I mean, I think for some games it works, for some games it doesn't. It really depends on the game and the type of combat. I hated it in Elden Ring. Hated it in Elden Ring. That's more so because of the combat is just so unresponsive. And I get that it's purposefully doing that to make it more difficult, but like, it's the same targeting system that exists in Zelda, and it feels way better in Zelda. And that's because the combat is way more forgiving and responsive in making mistakes, right? Like when you attack, and you can still move and attack and stuff, like. And so target locking is fine. It actually helps in Zelda, whereas in Elden Ring, it kind of hinders you, honestly. So it just kind of depends on the game. Hope we have the chance to one day play this game with you. Yeah, that would be great. I would enjoy that. Ow, man. Casters are hard. Casters are hard. I need to find some food. Are there any mushrooms around here? I think the colonists all ate all the mushrooms. Let's see if I can find some more. Oh my god, the terrain. Ugh. Spare me. Your code is so neat, by the way. Is it? You've barely seen it. You've barely seen it. Responsiveness is so important, right? Like, gosh, I like the magic text. Thank you. Fireball, what does it takes developmentally to make the graphic, cast time, etc.? I mean, now that I've got it already, I can change that pretty easily, pretty quickly. Like, I mean, you'd have to make the VFX for it, which I just have a bunch of pre-made VFX that were just free for the month, so that was just a free VFX that I had. And then you need the casting animations, and then you need to blend the animations with your locomotion and every other animation that you intend to play. Can you Oh god, cancel. So you need all the different, you need the casting loop where he's like casting, and then you need the actual, like he's casting, you know, he has casted it, and you need to blend all those together. You need to come up with a gameplay asset for the, I'm using GAS, the gameplay ability system. So you have to come up with a gameplay ability asset that kind of defines the ability itself. And you have to, you know, tie all those animations and VFX in there, and you'd probably want to use a data table to keep track of the damage and the mana cost and the cast time and what level the ability is potentially. Then you'd need to attach the VFX to a projectile, And then make sure that you have the projectile target on there, and you apply velocity to the projectile in the direction of the target and stuff like that, and then do the collision checks on when it hits something, it applies damage, right? And then do any sort of ability system reconciliation you need to do with like stats and stuff like that as well. Are you able to showcase what it actually looks like on the dev side? Is that all code-based work? I mean, a lot of it's assets, right? But like I can show you my cast ability, which is the basis for the fireball cast, right? The cast ability is a class that is extended from a my gameplay ability, which is extended from the gameplay ability base class. So this is a built-in class. The my gameplay ability is my base class that I've added a bunch of functionality in, that I can easily add things like min and max damage, so I can do an RNG, roll on how much damage it does. I have a range for it, global cooldown, non-global cooldown, any resource costs that it has. So like I can make it cost mana or health right now. I think in the future I'll have some different resources. Icon, some input things, targeting things, if it requires a target, or if I can target friendly, for like something like a heal. If it cancels when I'm dead, or if I'm sprinting, if it puts me in combat, the damage effect class that gets applied whenever the ability actually does damage. So these are all just like the definitions for this. And then in the cast ability, when you activate the ability through the gameplay ability system, I get the information as to who's activating it and what they're targeting, right? And so I kind of just start initializing the ability here, setting up some variables to use later. And I have some specific checks for like if it's a targeted ability where I need to like place it in the world somewhere, like an AoE, right? Or if I need to cast a blizzard somewhere, that means I have this stage where I'm like placing a target reticle somewhere, like I'm aiming. It's like an aiming stage almost. So that can potentially get skipped there. But if not, I start casting the ability, right? And so I grab all those variables about what's the cast time, all this stuff. If I should cancel on move, so I add like a listener for movement, and I stop any current movement so that you can be pressing W and then press fireball and it stops you moving, right? You wouldn't want to cancel it as soon as you press it, right? So important stuff there. Little things that you don't really think about, right? Is like you might be running and you're like, oh, I want to attack that guy. If I press 2, I'm still pressing W. But I pressed 2, so it canceled all my movement and invalidated the input as well. Yeah, my animations kind of suck, but yeah, getting the cast time. If it's an instant cast, I just do the cast finished. Otherwise, I commit global cooldowns and stuff like that afterwards. Calculate the casting loop time, which there is a little bit of I have to do some manipulation there because I have the ending, so I have to subtract like when the cast happens from like the length of the actual cast animation is like, I don't know, like half a second, right? But then you have the casting loop animation, and so you need to, the casting loop time is actually cast time minus that last 0.5 seconds or whatever it is where he's actually, throwing the ability or whatever. So some calculation there. I built this whole ability animation queue system as well. So animations get queued up and blended together and they get calculated. And this is handling things like dual wielding, where your main hand and offhand weapon speed kind of affect each other, how fast you can swing. And that allows you to actually have some benefit to dual wielding rather than just having, just using one single strongest weapon. And so you kind of get a bit of an attack speed boost when you dual wield, and that ability animation queue helps handle that, along with the entity component system, like the vertex animated instanced static meshes. Like they need to be able to switch to and from actors, and I need to be able to send to the GPU what animations are playing and what state they're in, how much time is left on an animation, what frame the animation is at. So this animation queue helps with that too. It kind of stores the state of what animation is playing, what animation should happen next, what ability it came from, what character it is. And so I can use all that with the entity system as well to kind of calculate my different vertex animated texture states when they transition to and from actors to vertex animated instant static meshes. So that helps with that as well.
I do some special things with the character where I show the cast bar there as well. I set a timer for when the cast should finish. I also have the ability to do a montage, which is just kind of like a separate animation asset in Unreal Engine. But so that'll be casting. And so there's an event that'll fire from this timer on cast time finished, which is the same thing I call if there is no cast time. So if we go to on cast time finished, that'll handle that. I'll finish the animation, I'll cancel the ability or end the ability because it's over now. Or if it's a channeled ability, I won't. If it's channeled, then he continues casting, right? He's like doing some like life drain or something type ability. I think this was for my blizzard ability. So that's what happens there. And then I think I finally commit the ability where I spend the mana cost and stuff like that there. And then that's what actually spawns the my fireball class or my projectile ability actually overrides this event, and it'll say here's where I also spawn the fireball, and then the fireball has the logic for like it has what target it needs to go to, so it's kind of like a homing. The fireball is like a homing projectile, so it'll just automatically go there. Finishing the cast animation, yeah. This is like finishing the cast loop and transitioning into the actual cast, like throwing the fireball animation. But yeah. So that's just kind of, this is just kind of the base cast class. Can you make the characters move while casting? Yeah, that's all covered by what I have so far. I just need to check like the on my base class here. I just need to make sure cancel. Ooh, do I have a move on cancel? Ooh, maybe I don't actually. I mean, I have sprint, cancel on sprint, but I guess my cast ability always adds. Oh, I have be cancel on move. Yeah, so it's in my cast class. I thought I had that. Wrong class. But yeah, that's handled. If I have on the asset that I create be cancel on move, then it will cancel when I move. It'll interrupt the cast. Otherwise, yeah, I can cast while moving. Can we grind Python language and get hired from it? You can do that with any language, probably. Can we combine spells with different players? Not entirely sure what that means. I'm gonna say no. You can use Cascador for the animation. Yeah, I tried. Not that easy. You want to see my Cascador animation? This axe, this is Cascador. It looks terrible. The pickaxe is also Cascador. I don't know how to say it, but yeah. I tried to make my own animations. It's really fucking hard. It's really hard. Yeah. So yeah, getting someone who knows how to animate things and make it look nice is invaluable. So are things like cast time coded from scratch, or does the engine already have a code for it? Yeah, I mean, you'd code that from scratch. It's not too bad though. I mean, it's just a timer, right? So the cast time is literally just this, right? This is how you set up a cast time. So you give, this is the time, and then this function is what gets called when the time's up. So Cascador is hard. Just animate. I mean, creating assets. It's a whole discipline in game dev, right? Like creating, you know, even if it's just like grass or